Um, if you're just joining us, you're looking here at our Sky 10 weather cam from Jennings with this line of storms rolling through. I mean, the rain was coming down so hard you couldn't even see anything. You still can't see much. You're starting to see the trees a little bit better. But if you live western Acadia Parish, you need to be in a safe place. If you live in Crowley, Mermentau, Estherwood, you need to be in a safe place. The winds have let up. Usually with this type of line, the strongest winds are right on the leading edge. And you can see the camera's not shaking as much. Looks like things are letting up a little bit. So we'll come back to that in a little bit and see if we see anything. But let's get back to radar and show you what it looks like. This is new tornado warning for, you can see the red box there. This does cover Crowley, and this is going to be Crowley, and it looks like it's not for Lafayette Parish yet, but this warning extends in the northern Acadia Parish, Iota. The strongest winds are south of there, but you can still see some very strong winds. So let me put a storm track on this. Let's see here. Crowley 554. It's going to be there, and then what I'm doing is it says 554, and I shave off 10 minutes because it's picking up speed. So I would say probably 5 in the next 10 minutes. It's going to be in Crowley. Dussaw, probably 6 p.m. So you need to be in a safe place if you live in Dussaw. Scott, 623. We'll go 613 for Scott. With the strong, I'm doing the strongest winds here. So let me go down the line. Let me do one for here, this area down here, because you're under a severe thunderstorm warning for Vermilion. ERAF at 633. So we'll say it's going to be there before now. We'll say 615 in ERAF, for that. It's got a severe thunderstorm warning with that. But we're looking at some very strong winds with this line. Let me go back and see if there have been any more damage reports. And right now, the strongest winds are from Jennings to Mermentau to Morse. So let me clear up this a little bit. Clear some stuff off here. You can see the magenta color, the strongest winds. Now, there is a tornado warning. I don't see any rotation, but the winds are so strong, they're thinking that this could be as strong as an EF1 tornado. So I would say Morse, Gaydon, Crowley, you need to be in your safe place. If you live anywhere along I-10, especially, or the 90 corridor, LA 13, if you know anyone traveling toward Jennings west, you want to tell them to pull off the road and get to a safe place, because I've already seen pictures of 18-wheelers blown off over on the bridge, not over in the water, but they've blown over on the bridge in Lake Charles. So let me go back and see what the Weather Service. Let's see, marble size hail in Pine Prairie. The damaging wind swath along the I-10 corridor, 70, 80 mile per hour winds. And that's what we're looking at here. And you can see very well the strongest winds with this right here. Notice the magenta color. These are at least 70 to 90 mile per hour winds. Now, it is coming higher up because the radar beam's going up. So it is coming up a little bit higher. But regardless, those are some damaging winds. Let's go back to the traffic cam and see if we see anything. It's still shaking there. I mean, rain's still coming down. The wind's still pretty strong, it looks like. Look at something. So you probably got another 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the heavy rain there, I would say. But right now, if you live in Iota, if you live in Church Point, Dussaw, Crowley, you need to be in the center part of your home, away from windows and doors, because these winds are very strong moving toward those areas, and we'll break that down right here. You can see You see all these reports coming out of the Lake Charles area, and we'll probably have more reports. You see this little notch right here with two areas. See it kind of bowing out here. Strong winds here. You can see a little bit of a notch. See how it kind of snakes around. Usually an indication of some very strong winds. Maybe some hail there. We haven't talked about hail much, but I think wind is the bigger concern here, but we'll look at that. And there could be some hail near Lake Arthur, showing 1 inch in diameter. And this hail core was over Lake Charles earlier, and it kind of cycles. You see how it cycles, goes away and cycles. And when I was in college, we did research on, this is what we call VIL, vertically integrated liquid, well, part of it. So when this comes down, if you have a tornado, a storm that's showing possible tornado rotation, when this comes down, it collapses. Usually it puts down the tornado. Not saying that's going to happen in this scenario because this is a squall line, but usually that's the case when we have a supercell thunderstorm, those storms by themselves. And when it ramps back up, it cycles, and sometimes the tornado goes back up, and then when this collapses, when this goes down, the tornado comes back down. Been a lot of research into that, and right now we see it ramping back up. But the bottom line with this is this whole line is producing very strong winds with it, and there could be an embedded tornado in this. But with this, a tornado can go down, come up, go down, come up. With this, it's straight line winds that may just barrel all the way through, and cause damage. And that's what we call a derecho, which produces widespread wind damage, and that's what we could be looking at. I think the Weather Service, they're issuing warnings because the winds are so strong that you could have embedded tornadoes in this line. So let's get back to it. Point out some areas. You need to be in a safe place if you live in Crowley. Cankton, Church Point, Iota, you should already be in your safe place. You see the warning there. They're probably going to extend this into Lafayette Parish very soon. Let's see. Let's go back to the winds. Still showing a pocket of very strong winds. Looks like it's moved a little further south now, between Jennings and Morse. So, and once this gets a little closer, we should be able to look at some of our weather cams here in town. But right there, let's look at these winds. It looks like that's the warning until 6 o'clock. You see the warning there. That's for Jeff Davis. It's pretty much the strongest part is out of Jeff Davis now. I think right now, mostly Acadia Parish. 91 mile per hour winds. I mean, this and it hasn't let up. It's been pretty persistent with those winds there. All right. So what we're looking at are winds. These are winds blowing away from the radar, so these are winds blowing from west to east. The red, that is the winds blowing away from the radar. The green, winds blowing toward the radar. So you see up here in the clear there with that area. But right now, put a storm track on this. And you're looking at Crowley 551. It's going to be in Crowley in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Dussaw, we'll say 6 p.m. for Dussaw. Abbeville, we'll say 6:08. I'm taking off some time here because it is moving very fast. Let's see. But the strongest winds now seem to be in the Morse area. Let's get down to some roads. Morse, along LA 92. If you live along LA 92, LA 13, you need to be in a safe place. Ebenezer, Lions Point, Crowley, in rain, you need to be in a safe place. You do not need to be traveling anywhere along I-10 between Jennings and rain. And that's going to be the case soon for Lafayette. Because this line is going to barrel all the way through the area, it looks like. It's not weakening. The problem is we've got a lot of instability in the atmosphere, like very high instability. So these storms have a lot of energy to feed off of. So they're going to move all the way through. The good news is the wind shear in the atmosphere in the lower levels is not that strong. but the winds are still coming down out of these thunderstorms that can produce winds that could be as strong as an EF1 tornado. And I think that's why the Weather Service, they're issuing this warning because of this pocket of strong winds here. Even though I don't really see any rotation. So let me go back. I'm looking at the data coming out of the Weather Service. Looks like the strongest winds now are just west of Crowley near Morse. It's like it's kind of moving a little bit more to the southeast now, the strongest batch of winds, from what I can tell. But it's moving fast off to the east at about 25, 30. Hey, go tell them back there that they'll we'll get 2 mics and then put me on the wall and then you in here. Thanks. Trevor just showed up. He's going to help out. Meteorologist sees when there's some bad stuff going on, they show up. So what we have here, the strongest winds near Morse, west of Crowley. If you live in Crowley, you need to be in a safe place, though. Let me see what the Weather Service got sidetracked. Trying to see if there are any new reports of damage. I don't see anything, which is good. And usually it pops up on here, too. We'll see it pop up on here. All right. When we get a new warning. All right. Which mic they're going to put you on? Not sure yet. We're going to leave this up. We're going to get set because I'm going to go on the wall and we're going to let and Trevor's going to be in here running radar. So give us just a second. But right now, tornado warning continues for Acadia Parish, and more than likely they're going to extend that into Lafayette Parish. So let us set up here. We'll be right back. Winds and the worst part of the storm right now coming over southern Acadia Parish. Do have a report of Jennings there, and also, like I said earlier, we get these reports that come out, and a report from 1-inch tree, limbs broken, shingles blown off. So it does look like it has done some damage there in the Jennings area. And we were looking at that on our weather cam earlier as it came across. It was raining so hard, it's hard to see exactly, what the trees were doing, but you can see the camera moving up and down. But right now, if you live in Crowley, you need to be in a safe place. Right here, the strongest winds. Winds there probably 83 miles per hour, possible 77. And this has been the case all the way from Lake Charles, this band of very heavy wind. And that's why they keep issuing the tornado warning. Even though we don't see any rotation with it, really, we're looking at winds that are extremely strong. Right now, about to cross, it looks like LA 13. So if you live along LA 13, 92, you need to be in a safe place. Along 190 here, it looks like the batch of heaviest winds just south of I-10. But still, if you know anyone traveling between Lafayette and Rayne, you need to tell them to pull off and get to a safe place. I already had a report, or actually I saw a picture of an 18-wheeler blown over on the bridge over there in Lake Charles. So we know these winds are very, very strong, and you don't want to be out driving in this. And this is not just one thunderstorm. This is a big band of storms. They have severe thunderstorm warnings. They've got this one severe thunderstorm warning till 6:30 that goes all the way over to the KLFY River Basin. But the thing is, it's moving so fast that it will be there pretty soon. So we're looking at this Boeing segment right here with some of the strongest winds, and that's going to be into eastern parts here of Acadia Parish very soon. And it looks like western parts of Lafayette Parish over the next, I would say, 20, 25 minutes. Maybe some hail. We were looking at that earlier. That storm could be producing some hail there near the Morse area. We had the hail yesterday with the storms. That was the big thing yesterday, the large hail. Today it's more of a wind threat, but still we can get hail. Notice that magenta color. That's probably where that hail is falling near the Morse area. And looks like the strongest part of that storm right now on the southern end of Acadia Parish. So here's Lafayette Parish, here's northern Vermilion Parish, and you can see it kind of bowing out. Notice that bow there. That's where the strongest wind's blowing out that line, and this is very indicative of some strong winds. In the purple area, like I said, that's indicative of the hail and some very heavy rain. The good news is it's moving so fast that the flash flooding threat is going to be low, but we could be looking at some very intense rain for about 25 to 30 minutes that could dump 1 to 2 inches of rain in a short period of time. So we may see some brief flash flooding. That's going to come into Lafayette during rush hour, which is not a good time. It looks like 1 inch tree limbs broken, possible, and those shingles blown off. And then we have that report there east of Lake Charles. But the bulk of this has been right along the Lake Charles, from Lake Charles along the I-10 corridor. That was at 453. It looks like 53 mile per hour, 52 mile per hour winds coming out of Lake Charles. So the strongest part of the storm right now looks to be over central and southern parts of Acadia Parish with this Boeing segment. And you're looking here, here's Crowley and down to the south, moving through Morse now. But if you live in eastern Acadia Parish, I would say even western Lafayette Parish, extreme northern Vermilion Parish, you want to be in a safe place. Here's LA 92, and we have 90 here, and we have LA 13, and then we have Morse. This is the highway running out of Morse along LA 92. So if you live right there in that area, anywhere along LA 13, you should be in your safe spot now. Center part of your home, away from windows and doors. And of course, we don't have basements here, but you definitely want to be on the lowest level of your home. You don't want to be on the second floor, as this line has produced some very strong winds. And they don't seem to be letting up by looking at a radar, but we're looking here at this line as it rolls across. There's Church Point. It's going to be in Church Point soon. Opelousas, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. Pretty much most of Acadiana under some type of warning. Most areas under a severe thunderstorm warning, but we do have that tornado warning that continues as well. And that is going to be, do they still have the tornado warning, Trevor?
No, I do not see any tornado warnings at this time.
They may have dropped that, okay. Maybe now it's just strong winds that they didn't see the rotation, but they're just issuing a blanket severe thunderstorm warning. But you can see this is going to come right through the heart of Acadiana here very soon with the strongest winds. Looks to be just south of Crowley. Right there, you can see that back right along LA 13. If you live in Ebenezer, you need to be in a safe place. If you live along LA 35, you want to go ahead and get your safe place. If you live in Rain, because we're looking 79, 80 mile per hour winds. These could be as strong as an EF1 tornado. And we're looking at, notice here, that magenta color. That's usually indicative of winds at 70 miles per hour. I will say the radar beam is going up, so these may be a little higher up. But regardless, we've had damage reports, so we know the threat is there. And we see southern Acadia Parish. Look at these winds here that extend along that line, 70, 76, 75. 78 miles per hour. So if you live in these areas, I would say extreme eastern Acadia, I would say western Lafayette Parish, northwestern Vermilion, go ahead and get your safe place. So this line's moving to the east at about 35 to 40 miles per hour, and it should be through the area by about 7 o'clock, 7:30 tonight. So we're not dealing with something that's going to last all night. You know, sometimes we get those events that they're here to 3 or 4 in the morning, and people are scared to go to bed. They're, scared to sleep. But regardless, with this one, it should be out of here. We're not expecting that overnight tonight. It's an evening event, which is a kind of a rare event for us. Usually here it's late night or early mornings, and this is one of those afternoon events, which sometimes can be bad because the instability's been working all day, and it's gotten stronger. So these storms have a lot of fuel to work with. and they're going to march all the way through here. Hopefully the winds will let up as they get farther east, but right now we're still looking at some very intense winds. Acadia Parish and northern Vermilion Parish. I would say Opelousas, some very strong winds entering your area. That's going to be in Port Barry soon. And then we're looking at the Sunset, strong winds entering that area. Anywhere along this line, we could see pockets of very strong winds and the possibility of an isolated tornado, even though we don't have a tornado warning right now. But right now, you can see east of Lake Arthur and Crowley, this is the strongest part of the storm. And this has pretty much been the case over the last hour or so, moving along and just south of the I-10 corridor along, looks like a 90 and I-10. We're looking at the possibility of hail here, 1.5 inch diameter, pretty large hail possible. This is an algorithm that detects how large that hail may be. So that may be an issue. That's why we're seeing that very strong core right there over southern parts of Acadia Parish, that magenta color near Morris. A lot of lightning. These storms are producing a lot of lightning. So don't go outside and watch this. The lightning can be very dangerous. And as we can see here, we're going to see that continue its track off to the east as we go through the next 25 to 30 minutes. You have anything over there?
Yeah, so that radar beam is about 3,000 feet in altitude, just based on what I'm receiving here from the National Weather Service. Around the Crawley area, 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, about 3,000 feet aloft. So we may not be getting those at ground level, but when you have rainfall rates this high, it does not take much for that wind to make its way down to the surface there. So we could easily see some 60, 65 mile per hour wind gusts, maybe even 70 mile per hour wind gusts if we see that microburst type action across the Acadia Parish area, Heath. But it definitely looks like this line is continuing to move eastward and very quickly. Let's actually query this warning here so we can see how fast this line is actually moving. This is the latest from the National Weather Service. It's moving east at 50 miles per hour.
Fast.
So that is hauling it. This line is moving very fast. So let me go ahead and actually put a storm track on that. So I'm going to enter in the numbers here. It's moving east at 50 miles per hour. Let me go ahead and erase that little box there. And we can put a storm track on this, Heath, and see exactly who's going to get this and when they're going to get it. I'll mark the edge of the line, moving to the east at 50 miles per hour, and I'll go through the next hour.
Yeah, it's picked up speed. It was like 35 earlier, so that's why, like when I was doing a storm track earlier, I was kind of shaving off some of these numbers because it actually picked up speed. 50's fast. The good news is with that, it's going to move through quickly. It's not going to hang around. The bad news is those winds could be even stronger, and we could be looking at the winds that could come down to the surface. Now, we were talking about the winds 3,000 feet up. We'll get to that in a second. We'll look at the storm track here first. Broussard at 6:08, New Iberia at 6:25, Lafayette at 6 o'clock, which is in about 4 minutes. So we're going to probably hear it here soon. Plaquemine at 6:54. It should be completely out of the area by 7 o'clock. So what we were talking about, the radar beam is hitting that line about 3,000 feet up. Now, usually when you have a severe weather tornado threat, sometimes 3,000 feet up, you can get 50 mile per hour winds just 3,000 feet above the ground. That's not the case today. Those winds are pretty weak 3,000 feet up. So if it's showing 60 to 70 mile per hour winds at 3,000 feet up, some of that's probably coming down to the ground. Look at the lightning strike. 576 lightning strikes have hit the ground just in this area right here. That is a lot of lightning. So these storms are packing a punch with a lot of energy. The wind, the lightning, even some hail. So some nasty storms for sure. You can see that those are all cloud to ground lightning strikes that are hitting the ground. 228 there. We're kind of sampling the storm here and looking at.
I'm trying to go in the last 5 minutes. That's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm setting the lightning in the last 5 minutes. And then I can go ahead and query this and see how many lightning strikes have affected this area just in the past 5 minutes. 225 cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. And that's positive and negative, but just in the past 5 minutes. So that is a ton of lightning. And we've spoken about this, Heath, before. The strongest part of the line is always where all the lightning is.
Exactly. And we see that right here in this area across the Crowley area and just south. So we think the strongest winds are definitely going to be in this area. If you live in Dusau, you want to be in a safe place. We're looking at reflectivity here. That's the rain, and this may be some hail falling. Now we're back to the winds, so we're looking at the velocity, but that may be some hail falling there across southern parts of Acadia Parish. Ebenezer, some extremely strong winds possible there, and this is going to move 85 miles per hour. Here's Deusaw. If you live in a ridge, you want to be in a safe place. This is the Lafayette, southwestern parts of Lafayette Parish. This is eastern Acadia. There's northern Vermilion. You can see these strong winds that extend down into Vermilion Parish. So they have dropped the tornado warning, only a severe thunderstorm warning now, but the whole line has a severe thunderstorm warning because we're sampling the winds here, and you can see how strong those winds are along that line. It's not really in one small area. The whole line could be producing some extremely strong winds. If you live in Maurice, Youngsville, it's going to be there in the next probably 15 or 20 minutes. The leading edge near rain now. It looks like about to enter Deusaw. Arsenault looks like going to be there soon. The winds seem to be getting a little lighter north of I-10 along this line. The bulk of it just south of I-10. And this was along the I-10 corridor earlier. Has kind of shifted a little more to the southeast. And you can see kind of moving to the east-southeast. This is going to come right through the heart of Lafayette here soon. It looks like some of that burst of really strong winds. So we'll see, what that looks like as it comes across. But we're looking here at LA 92. Here's LA 343, and looks like there's 90. So we see the strongest winds just southwest of Deusaw, 76 mile per hour winds, 79 mile per hour winds, 82 there, and that is across the southern parts there of Acadia Parish. So this is a big burst of stronger winds. Like I said, the radar beam's 3,000 to 4,000 feet up. But the winds at that level today are not that strong, so we know that the winds, those winds could be coming down to the surface. And you can see it kind of bowing out here. Right here, a little bit of a bow. That is going to be southern Acadia. This is going to be entering western parts of Lafayette Parish very soon. And we're going to put a storm track on this. Moving at 50, so it's going to be through the area very soon. I mean, this is not something that's going to hang around all night. It's going to move through. Luckily, it's moving fast because it's producing some very intense rain, so we could be looking at some flash flooding if it were much slower, but I think it's going to move through. It will cause some street flooding briefly, but it's not going to be widespread flash flooding. But you can see the yellow box, that's a severe thunderstorm warning. They have dropped the tornado warning as it's not showing any rotation. But regardless, you could get winds as strong as a weak tornado with this. So just because it's a severe thunderstorm warning, don't let your guard down. The winds have been very consistent all the way across the state, very strong. We've had wind damage reports, had that in Jennings, and we've had that over the Lake Charles area.
Yeah, we do have a report of a confirmed tornado in Westlake. That's across western portions of the state. The business owner reports front window blown out and debris inside at Bump to Bumper Auto Parts. And a nearby restaurant, Mexican restaurant, had roof damage. Okay. So we do have a confirmed tornado. And a thunderstorm wind gust of 75 miles per hour also at Westlake.
Okay, yeah, that I think I saw pictures of that earlier. They posted that, and it looked like some debris in the road there over Westlake. And that's when they first issued the tornado warning. It did have some rotation along this leading line. But right now we don't see that rotation, but we do see from some very strong winds as this makes its way off to the east. Right now entering Opelousas and down the stronger winds probably just east of Crowley and about to come into Lafayette Parish. And it looks like in northern parts of Vermilion Parish. So you still want to be in a safe place. If you live just east of this line, you want to be in a safe place because we're looking at some very intense winds here. Right now, southwestern parts of it looks like Lafayette Parish. It looks like down toward Kaplan.
Yeah, this is really the area that we're focusing on right now.
That's the strongest area right there that we're focusing on. So this area 69, we're looking here, 84 mile per hour wind showing up near Kaplan. So if you live in this area, just east of this area, you want to be in a safe place. Youngsville, it looks like the Lafayette's going to be near area soon, down toward Abbeville, and then off to the East Bro Bridge in the next 20 minutes or so. But right here, we can see from Deusaw down to Kaplan, I would say just south of Deusaw down to Kaplan looks to be where the strongest winds are. We're going to put a storm track
Yeah.
on
This is
that.
an estimate of where the strongest winds right now in
Yeah.
the storm. That could certainly change, but
Yeah.
this belt of stronger winds, where it would be in the next 30 minutes here. Leroy around 6:03 p.m., so pretty much now. Maurice 6:07 p.m. Broussard around 6:17 p.m. So looks like if you're in Lafayette Parish north of I-10, you may miss the strongest winds, but south of I-10 across the southern portions of Lafayette Parish, Heath, looks like you'll be getting that belt of strongest winds, and also across northeastern Vermilion. So we're talking Kaplan and maybe Abbeville down the road.
Exactly, yeah. That looks to be the strongest. And these have shifted a little farther south along the I-10 corridor, all the way to just east of Jennings. Then it started moving a little farther south. There may be a little east-southeasterly component to this as it makes its way into, it looks like, a Lafayette Parish. But like I said, no tornado warning, but regardless, we know these winds are very strong along this line, and haven't had any damage reports east of Jennings, but doesn't mean that we haven't seen damage. There could be damage east of Jennings. It just hasn't come out yet, so we'll be looking for that. Hopefully we won't see any damage reports as this moves across the heart of Acadiana, but the magenta colors, you're looking at reflectivity here, the heavy rain, and the possibility of hail. There could be some hail with this. But the main threat, the damaging winds, and I think it's going to be, you can see how it kind of bows out here. That's where the stronger winds are going to be, northern Vermilion, and it looks like there.
Another storm report, a power line pole down in Mermentau, and one reported in Crawley as well.
Okay, power line poles. So we know that, I guess those reports are coming further east now.
Yeah.
If you're getting power line pole reports down, that's some pretty strong winds. So maybe without power across some of these areas here, across Crowley, and it looks like the Jennings area. But right now, entering western parts of Lafayette Parish, I'm going to look at something real quick. Let me pull something up. See if I can pull it up real quick on the computer. Look.
Yeah, we have a ton of power outages right now in Acadia Parish. Almost 20% of the parishes without power right now in Acadia Parish.
20%, wow.
20%. Vermilion, we're at about 8% now. Now this is Slimco. This is according to
Right.
the Slimco outage map. But yeah, around the Crawley area and right where those strongest winds are, you're
Right.
starting to see those power outages come in. Almost 3,000 customers there, 15,000 served. So almost 20% of Acadia Parish out right now.
Wow. So we know that, yeah, it continues to produce some very strong winds. And you can see right here, the strongest winds look to be coming in the southwestern parts of Lafayette Parish.
This is going to probably hit the city of Lafayette through
Yeah.
and through here, unfortunately, the way it's looking now. Heath.
Yeah.
So we'll have to definitely hunker down here at the station.
Yeah, we're starting to hear the rain come down a little bit now. You know, you can hear it. The strongest winds now about to come into Scott, so you need to be in a safe place if you live in Scott, anywhere in Lafayette Parish now, I would say. The winds don't look to be as strong north of I-10, but just to be on the safe side, I would be in a safe spot. We're measuring winds there, possibility 81 miles per hour. That's going to be between Deuce and Scott near Ridge, and that's going to be moving over the heart of Lafayette here soon. So we'll see exactly what's going on with that here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. This line's moving off to the east at about 50 miles per hour. So right now we're looking down some strong winds into Vermilion Parish. Here's Maurice. If you live along LA 167, Lafayette Parish, Vermilion Parish, you want to be in a safe place. Along LA 14, east of Abbeville, you want to be in I think that's a tornado warning.
It is a tornado warning.
Yeah, okay,
Let me go
they've
back
issued
to
a
radar
tornado
and see
warning.
where that's at. Pretty much right across the heart of Lafayette
Yep.
Parish, the way it's looking now.
Yep, they've issued that. Looks like for
I mean, maybe that little Boeing segment right here.
Right here.
I was just noticing that as
Right
well.
yeah,
Right in here.
you can see it right
Maybe
there.
a little bit of a circulation in here
Yeah.
where they're going to go ahead and issue this warning.
Well, I think, too, what's going on is that we've had damage reports all along this line. So, too, just to be on the safe side, they want people to take this very seriously. Don't see a lot of rotation, but, yeah, you're right. Could be something right here, but they want to get the warning out that this is a dangerous storm.
Yeah, tornado warning coming out
Yep.
for the notch near rain that will be moving into
Yep.
Dussault and Scott. This is from the National Weather Service.
That's what they're looking at, this area right here. the possibility of a tornado. In this type of setup, when you have a big line like this, a lot of times you don't see any distinct rotation, but it can be there. You get these spin-ups of tornadoes along the line, and it looks like they went ahead and issued that before that little notch that we were looking at right there near Rain.
We're probably getting 50, 60 right now at the station.
You think so?
I just got a visual.
Let me look outside. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's here. It's here across Lafayette.
It's pretty bad right now.
For sure.
Yep, right now it's coming into the heart of Lafayette. The winds they're pretty strong out there. So if you live east of this, if you're looking here, and you live anywhere in Lafayette Parish, you need to be in a safe place.
Power lines down on Highway 1124 near Esterwood Morse.
Esterwood, okay, we got more power line down reported. So right now you're looking at the strongest winds near, looks like up to Maurice, up to Dussault. This whole line here is producing some very, very strong winds. So this will continue to move to the east. It's moving to the east at about 50 miles per hour. And it looks like this will continue its track over toward the Chafflyer River Basin once we get to about 6:30 to 6:45. So it's going to move through fast, but the problem is it is bringing a lot of wind with it. And we do have that tornado warning that covers Lafayette Parish, and it looks like St. Martin Parish. And that goes, when's it go to?
The tornado warning goes in effect until 6:30